Hello, welcome to another episode of Awakening with Soulspirational. I'm Tish, and today we're talking about the Solar Plexus Chakra. So if you've been watching the episodes lately, you know that I am putting on a series of episodes talking about each individual chakra of the 7 main chakras. Then they start at the base of the spine and they work their way up to the crown chakra at the top of the head. So the last episode was on the sacral chakra, which is located around the navel. Some see it as about 2 inches below the navel. Today we are going to the solar plexus. So it'll be between the navel and the sternum. So as much as you can see that on video here, it may be where you feel butterflies in your belly, or sometimes when we feel like the wind has been knocked out of us, been punched in the gut kind of thing. That's the area that we're going to focus on today. So if this is the first episode that you're watching on the chakras, this is just getting you some kind of information. There's so much information out there about the chakra system. I'm hoping to inspire you or intrigue you to find some more information, to do your own research, but to at least kind of get your mind going of how these particular chakras can impact our day-to-day lives. So, okay, again, as we're talking about the solar plexus, let me give you some key points of it. It's represented by the color yellow, the element fire, and or the sun. So it depends on how you look at that, or both. The positive archetype associated with the solar plexus chakra is the warrior, and I love using this archetype with clients. So if we think about a warrior stands strong. They aren't overly confident, but they definitely are not meek. They can stand firmly within their own power. So whatever obstacles may come their way, or whatever it is that they're going towards in life, they know that they're going to have the strength and the stamina to be able to get through, to conquer whatever it is that their goal is. When we look at the negative archetype, this would be considered the servant. So the quick way to look at this is a people pleaser. So where my value, my worth is based upon what other people think of me as opposed to how I think of myself. Somebody who's constantly, as I said, trying to please others so they can get that positive feedback or feel that they're valued or worthy. So I give the archetypes as a reference point for yourself that whatever it is that you're doing right now in life, do you feel like you have the warrior energy, or do you feel like you've been more in the energy of pleasing other people, of getting their feedback, of knowing how important it is for their feedback as opposed to your own? So just a couple of things to kind of consider when we think about the solar plexus chakra. All right, so we're going to talk about some of the areas of the body that it governs. So you can think about your digestive tract, but the stomach, the liver, the gallbladder, pancreas, small and large intestines, spleen, the stomach, adrenals, kidneys, diaphragm, the entire sympathetic nervous system. So it kind of gives you an idea of the areas in which we're working here. So the solar plexus is the power center. And so when I think about the warrior, I just think about the power of a warrior. It is also the seat of our ego, so kind of keep that in mind. This is a place of ourself, so self-confidence, self-worth. So again, if we are the servant, if we feel as though we've been in the archetype of the servant, then we're not standing strong in our own power, or we're looking for other people to validate us, to tell us what our worth is. So we can work on strengthening the solar plexus if those have been some issues for you. It's also a place of personal will or willpower. You know, sometimes we think about, oh, that person has the fire in the belly, or we think about passion and fire, that driving force. So some things to think about within the solar plexus. And again, as I was saying, if you feel like, you know, you've been kicked in the gut or punched in the gut, when things truly affect us, oftentimes it's in this solar plexus where we feel like we're doubled over, where things really come at us. So again, things to think about here. When it is imbalanced, you may feel a sense of shame or inadequate. You may feel self-conscious. So, because if I'm not strong and I'm looking for others, then I'm probably not a very confident person, right? So, just some kind of things to think about. So if you're somebody who experiences ulcers, you have gallbladder issues, pancreas issues, for example, as well. When we look at the different organs, if you're having issues in this area, it could be something energetically also that is affecting something that's affecting your solar plexus. So if you were raised where kids were meant to be seen, not heard, or maybe not even seen nor heard, if you were unable to speak your truth or speak up when you were growing up, or if you heard things as though, you're worthless, you're never going to amount to anything, that directly affects the solar plexus, all those things. So kind of keep that in mind. If that resonates with you in the way that you were brought up, and you find that today you have a lot of solar plexus or a lot of digestive type issues, it might be a much deeper, more rooted cause for those things. All right, so again, and we can think about the different things that the different organs do. One of the things that has stuck with me with research is the pancreas of, are we not allowing the sweetness of life into our being? Again, just something to think about. All right, so those are some ways in which you can think about if you have digestive tract issues. There may be an imbalance within your solar plexus. So there are so many different ways you can work on healing it. You can Google essential oils in the solar plexus. You can work with different crystals in the solar plexus. There are plenty of solar plexus guided meditations on YouTube. You can also go to talk therapy. As I said, if there are some issues growing up or people around you that are constantly demeaning you, you just don't feel like you're strong enough to stand on your own, or being comfortable in your own skin, so to speak, go to therapy. Find a counselor, a therapist that you feel comfortable working with, even a spiritual counselor like myself. You can get some help to go back and to start processing through those times so you can start strengthening your solar plexus. You may find that your other issues that you're dealing with physically may lessen. So it's worth a shot if you're having some of these issues. Okay, so when we are thinking about the solar plexus as well, one of the images that I like to use is the sun. So if we look down at the root is the water element. The sacral around the navel, the root is the earth element. The sacral is the water element. And then when we get up to the solar plexus, then it's the sun or fire. And we're going to talk about fire in a moment. So if we think about the importance of the sun and water and earth for our physical lives, the importance of that. The water needs the sun, the earth needs the sun. Sometimes there are some of us that we feel so disempowered, or our self-worth or self-esteem is so low that we'll hunch over. So it's like we're blocking our own internal light. We're afraid to shine our light onto others. Now, on the other extreme of that, you may know people who just kind of walk in a room, and sometimes it's almost as though it's like this blazing hot Arizona sun. Sometimes it may feel a little bit like scorched earth. So when we are thinking about the different images there, so whether it's I'm blocking my own sun or I'm scorching the earth kind of energy, You may or may not, to me, that sounds like an imbalance. Again, everybody has to determine what their center point is, and I would argue that adjusts as we continue to evolve. So if you feel as though you've been in that scorched earth energy lately, that may be a sign for you to start paying attention to your solar plexus. Why do I feel the need to be abrasive, to be very loud and abrasive with my words? So sometimes we may do this to push other people off, to push them away from us, to make sure that nobody can hurt us. On the other end, when we are hunched over, when we aren't showing our own light, we may be afraid of somebody rejecting us. We may be afraid that somebody's going to say something unpleasant. We already feel so little of ourselves anyway that we just couldn't bear to handle somebody else saying something negative. So then we'll just kind of cover the light, be very quiet. Maybe don't want to mix things up much because it's safer if I cover my light. So work on finding your balance if that's something that resonates with you, if you choose to do that. If you've done the last 2 episodes, so when we think about the earth in the root chakra, if you did the visualization and your earth felt like it was lacking nutrients, or maybe it felt very saturated from the emotions of the sacral, you can use the energy of the sun to help balance out those lower chakras. So if your earth feels very saturated, very wet, you can imagine the sun, just keep your spine straight, your shoulders back, feel the energy of the warm sun in your solar plexus, flowing right on down through your water, your sacral, and into the earth until you can see your earth dry out some. If you feel as though you've been one of those scorched earth kind of people, and so your earth feels very dry, very cracked, where it's hard for your roots to even take hold because it's so dry and brittle, you can use the water element from the sacral to bring down into the root. Okay. Now the other thing I want to talk about too is the element of fire. If you're a person with digestive issues, you may get that burning in your stomach. You may have some kind of stomach issues again where you're feeling it burning, or where maybe food isn't sitting with you very well, one way or the other. What I love about the fire, and sometimes we feel it, and it isn't in a pleasant way, it's more of an unpleasant way. But when we think about fire, fire can be very destructive, which doesn't mean that that's necessarily a bad thing. I guess it depends on the situation and the context. But here, if you watched the last episode, I talked about how somebody will say or do something to us, we'll chew on it for a while, force ourselves to swallow it, which is just funny how we do that. The heart, it goes to the heart chakra, which is resisting it. And then it goes into the solar plexus where it needs to start digesting whatever it was that was just said or done to us. Maybe something we said or did to ourselves. So with conscious awareness, as whatever this is that is burning you, you can imagine, if you're an imaginative person or just intend to, it always as long as it feels right for you. So with your eyes closed, if there is something that was said or done to you that doesn't feel right, imagine a fire outside of yourself and just pulling whatever that is out. So maybe somebody at work recently said something unpleasant to you, or a sibling or a spouse. Just imagine pulling the energy of whatever that was out and into the fire. If you want to do that internally, where you're seeing an internal fire, where it is just destroying that and going down and processing out through your digestive tract, then that's wonderful too. The main thing is use the fire to destroy that which doesn't serve you. Get it out. Let your digestive tract process it, or pull it out and send it into the flames and get rid of it. If you don't need it, let it go. If there is a life lesson, a learning lesson for you, as you are feeling into the solar plexus, no matter how much we pull out, we're really not going to get rid of it, because there's something there for us to learn. And it may be that lesson to be learned is to feel more of the warrior self, to get out of the servant energy and to really bring yourself more into the warrior self. The realization that, you know what, I am much stronger than I ever thought that I was. Where we can really strengthen the core of who we are. And when we talk about being the warrior self, when we talk about the warrior, what I love about this is, you know, I'll ask clients, depending on what the situation is, but if somebody, during the course of the session, we're doing an affirmation placement, for example, of I am strong, which is a pretty common one with us. And because for one reason or another, and it may not be all areas of life, but maybe something that we're trying to do, we just don't feel strong enough, that we have the power to do whatever it is that we're wanting to do. Okay. So when we bring that statement, I am strong, into the solar plexus, here's what I typically have my clients do. When you close your eyes, imagine your warrior self. So can you see yourself or feel it, intend it, whatever? But if you are visual enough, imagine yourself as a warrior. So take a look at what your clothing is. Do you have any tools with you? Now, as you were seeing yourself as the warrior self, you know, you can imagine your feet about shoulder width apart with some flexible knees. We always want to have flexibility within life. Again, see your spine is straight, your shoulders back, your chin up, and your eyes forward. Really see the confidence within your being as the warrior. One of the things that have come up too is it's just amazing to me how we think that we aren't strong enough to accomplish our goals or whatever it may be. And there are times, I mean, we're humans, we have ups and downs, and sometimes we really don't feel like we have this strength, especially if we just lost a loved one. That's not what I'm talking about here. You know, if you are trying to get out in the dating scene again, if you are trying to break off with somebody who is unhealthy for you, if you are looking to get into a different career, whatever your path may be, if we don't feel as though we're strong enough to do these things, that we don't have the power, then that is the kind of energy that we're putting out. When we can stand in the warrior self and acknowledge who we are and what we're made of, it really helps to build the confidence, I would suggest. So, and I've seen it, it's awesome. So what I would ask my clients is, if somebody doesn't feel the power, the strength in themselves, I'll ask them to go back from the time that they were born, the earliest memories that they have. Can you think of a time where you stood up to a bully? Can you think of a time where you did something that took such guts or courage? You know, maybe it was standing in front of a classroom that you were petrified of doing, but you got up and you did it anyway. Can you think of a time that you showed this courage, this bravery, moxie? Can you think of another time? So if you can think of times in your childhood where you showed your strength, your determination, your bravery, your courage. My point is, it's because you were born with it. It has always been there. It's just as we get older, life sometimes can trip us up. It can get us off of our footing. We forget that we were once a very strong person, even at the age of 5 or 8 or 12. So when we can remember that is part of the energy we were born with, that internal strength, we can tap into that for our warrior self as we are approaching our goals. So see yourself as the warrior. Feel the strength. As you were going through your day-to-day life, remind yourself, spine straight, shoulders back, chin up, eyes forward. Start owning your own power. You know, years ago for myself, it wasn't maybe a year into my journey, I was dating somebody, and I had gone out to like a bar restaurant to meet a bunch of his friends that he'd known since grade school. And I remember afterwards, he was saying how much he appreciated the fact that when I got up to use the restroom, that my chin was up and my head was held high as I went off to the restroom, and I thought, that's kind of weird. But thinking about it, I haven't ever had anybody else say anything like that to me. But I know that was the universe at play, because what it did was remind me that I'm no longer looking down. I'm no longer looking at my feet or the ground, the floor, afraid to look up because I don't want to be judged. I don't want people to see me for whatever different reasons. And it felt so wonderful that somebody acknowledged, because that's what I needed at the time. And that's the beautiful thing about the universe, is the universe will bring this stuff to you as a reminder that you've got this, you're getting this. Look, you know, I call them mile markers. We can go back at different places just to see how much we've grown. And for me, that's what I got out of that situation. It reminded me of the energy of having, again, the spine straight, the shoulders back, the head up, eyes forward, and to really be comfortable with who you are. And that doesn't mean it just changes overnight, but you work on it little by little. You know, sometimes you may take big steps, other times they're little steps, sometimes they're backward steps, but then you catch back up. Being human isn't always an easy thing to do, but if we afford ourselves levels of kindness and compassion, think about all the love you give to other people. Turn that love around, start feeling it for yourself. If you would give your friends a level of compassion, a level of support, give it to yourself, so that as you are transforming, as you are learning how to trust yourself, as you are learning how to value yourself, feeling more into your own confidence and this war yourself, it's just a much more lovely process when we're non-judgmental, and as I said, compassionate, loving towards yourself. Okay, so there are some images to keep you with, that of the warrior, that of the servant. Think about the sun element and also the element of fire. So things that you can destroy through the fire, that are beneficial to you, that you can just be done with. There's no signs left of that. Again, if it doesn't serve you, let it go. Let it go. Drink plenty of water as you're doing this too, as you're setting the intention that you're allowing your digestive tract to work to process the things that you've been holding on to that don't serve you. Right on down through the kidneys and the bladder as well, and just get everything out. Just release it. One of the things I want to put in here too before I close the video, when talking about balancing the chakras, you can also, because it's the color yellow, wear yellow. Put yellow around you as a reminder that you are building and honing your self-confidence, your warrior self. So be surrounded by yellow as much as you can. Eat yellow foods. Just think about all things yellow. To really, again, is that lovely reminder that you are worth it. And here's the thing that kind of makes my heart sad sometimes. I see the most beautiful, amazing souls. And sometimes it just saddens me because they want to block their light. If you're one of those people, I'm going to ask for you to stand up straight and share your light with us. We need your light. Trust yourself. Open up. You can do this. And then that way, again, you can share your love with us, because you won't be afraid. You're going to stand into your place of confidence with a healthy ego. And again, it's a process. But you don't have to be perfect. I don't care. You're walking the earth. You're not perfect. So as you are evolving, and as you are feeling that confidence, just try it out. See what happens. But share your light with us. You know, especially in today's day and age, it just feels like there's a lot more darkness or lower level energies, and we need you. So finally, I'm not going to do a full visualization today, because looking at the time, I don't have much time left. But again, you can go to YouTube, just look up Solar Plexus Chakra meditations. Take your time, work through it, get a feel for it. If you know, pay attention when you are feeling into it. So in the few moments we have left here, you know, always clench your hands. So if you've watched my videos, you know I'm kind of funny about it. Clench your hands, send that energy into the earth. Remember, there's also the front and back side of the chakra. But you can place your hand or your hands on your solar plexus. Close your eyes. And just feel into the energy of it, the stuff that I told you today, or if you have a chakra book, you research about the chakras, if you want to go specifically, in this case, into the solar plexus, take a few deep breaths to still and quiet the body and the mind, put a hand or your hands over your solar plexus, and feel into it. You may see different images within your solar plexus. You may hear things come up. It may be somebody who said you're worthless as you're feeling in. And when you do that, listen to who said that. I bet you more often than not, those aren't even your words. They were words somebody else gave you. And for whatever reason, we hold on to that. Their words were about them, not about us. So feel in, pay attention to what you are hearing, seeing, feeling. You may even notice that while you're feeling into the solar plexus, you may feel something down at your feet or one of your other chakras. You may feel it in your shoulders, your arms, wherever it may be. Pay attention. And then you can write down, when you're done feeling into it, the different places that you feel it. And then, why am I feeling it here? What is this leading me to? What's coming up for me? Because the more information that we have like this, the more healing that we can do. And then again, you can go to a therapist, a spiritual counselor, your pastor, whatever it may be, somebody like myself. Talk to a trusted friend or family member. Start processing whatever it is that you've been holding on to, so you can take out the good nugget of information, that which is nutrients for your soul, and get rid of all that stuff that's just taking up space energetically that doesn't even belong in your energy to begin with. So, all right, well, thank you so much for watching this video. The next one is going to be on the heart chakra. If you have any questions about today's episode, please feel free to contact me. You can reach me via my website, www.soulspirational.com. You can email me at info at soulspirational.com. Until next time, thank you, be well, and namaste.